Good evening and welcome to Be Extraordinary, the show that is for extraordinary people. This show is sponsored by Horizon Blue Cross and Blue Shield of New Jersey. I am so excited to be here and to be with you on this Wednesday evening. This show comes on every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We want to focus on the pandemic, but we want to focus on solutions more than situations. So Horizon Blue Cross and Blue Shield of New Jersey has decided that these first 4 episodes will talk about the pandemic, having solutions, and dealing with situations. Be Extraordinary is not your usual show. When you tune into this show, you're going to hear conversations with leaders and influencers and people that will inspire you to reach your full potential in all areas. You hear me saying we, and that's because I have a co-host. But before I get to him, I want to tell you about me. My name is Joetta. I'm a 4-time Olympian, motivational speaker, author, health and wellness advocate, and I am an author of a new book that's coming out really soon. I am so excited to be here with you in studio, and we have an amazing show for you today. I said I talk about we, and that's because I have a co-host. His name is Tyrone Johnson. He is retired after 25 years of being a decorated firefighter and a resourceful person in the city of Newark. He has coached many high school champions and state champions, and he is a renowned high school national coach. He's also a mental and stress consultant, and he also is a fire safety instructor. That's a lot of information for this first responder here from the city of Newark, now retired. So I'm going to turn it over to my co-host as we navigate through the pandemic with real solutions, real stress, and real solutions. Tyrone.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the Zoom meeting. As Joetta said, we're Jotyme, and we want to just come to you with positive energy. Everybody probably had a stressful day or a good day, but right now, during this time, we just want to make you feel comfortable and get ready for some instructional and informational things that we're going to give to you about the pandemic. Okay, so right now, I'm going to introduce you to our special guest, and he is Westley Morris, owner of Saucon Valley Massage, motivator and wellness consultant. So Wes, can you introduce your video right now for the audience?
You know what, Wes? Hey, before you do the video, we want to hear a little bit more about you. So we'll get to the video in 1 second. Tell us a little bit more about you. Tyrone gave you a little snippet of who you.
Yep, absolutely. Certainly. So my name is Westley, and thank you very much for having me. It's always wonderful to see your faces. You know, I own Saucon Valley Massage Therapy. I am a massage therapist. And beyond that, I am also a student of the human brain and how we function and how to navigate through stressful situations, both for myself as well as my team, my family, my clients, and my friends. I am also a motivational speaker, an inspirational speaker. I'm an advocate for leadership and development and just learning how to do more, be more, and become more than you are right now. So all things above, and it's an honor to be on this show, on this platform tonight.
Yeah, we're blessed to have you here, Wes. And, you know, we want to give the audience an opportunity to be part of this show. As we said, this show, Be Extraordinary, is a little bit different than your other shows. We're going to divide this into 4 sections. And what we decided to do is that we believe in giving away gifts, and we're going to do some giveaways as well. But when we give away the items, it will go to the person that knows all 4 categories. So we're going to develop We have these categories and divide them into 4 sections. And then after each section, please feel free to ask questions. You can just go to the chat or you can raise your hand. The first section, we're talking about the shutdown. And then the next section, we're talking about stress and anxiety. In the next session,
we have resolutions for you. How can you manage to go through and combat stress? So how do you go through those solutions? And the last one is going to be solutions of how do you, Westley, deal with stress and anxiety, and what are the ways to deal with stress and anxiety? So that's going to be a part of Wes's analogy.
So Wes, we're going to turn it back to you. Go back to March 17th, 2020. We're talking about the shutdown. And so this kind of brings us together with how you went through that day.
Yeah, it was a very unprecedented day in that it was a Tuesday, and I remember it was about 12 o'clock, and I had just received word that the governor had put into action an ordinance that essentially shut down all non-essential businesses for the foreseeable future. Now, prior to that, I did not know that massage therapy was non-essential. I had never heard that term before. Excuse me. So my business, my primary income is no longer. And I have a team of 8 other therapists that their income was no longer. So all of my stress seemed to be immediately financial in terms of providing for myself, my family, my team. And, within a moment's notice, that was all gone with no real explanation as to when it would ever come back. Now, just to be a little more transparent with you, about 30 days prior to that, I had made a very significant financial decision that required me to essentially invest my entire life savings. Wow. So I had invested my entire life savings 30 days prior to that. 30 days later, my business shuts down. And 2 weeks after that, my landlord had increased my rent. Yeah. So I was faced with all of this stress and not knowing exactly what was going on, very confused. Everyone around me was scared. I was scared. It was just a whirlwind of emotions in a very small amount of time.
And that was all because of the shutdown. When we say shut down, it affected people differently. And that was, thanks for being transparent with your shutdown. Since we're being transparent, I might as well be transparent about my shutdown, because my mother transitioned on March 13th, 2020. So we also got normal homegrown service that we wanted to have for the queen of the family. So we were trying to my family navigate through everything to only have 15 people in. And my mother was very popular, so 15 people was not going to work, trying to tell people that they can't come and just navigate through that whole thing. So we haven't even gotten to the second segment of stress yet. We're still talking about how the shutdown affected people. And for me, even though there was a shutdown in the country, I could not shut down on my mother. So I had to keep going forward. So I think the takeaway for me, and maybe for you and Tyrone, I guess, is that even though everything shut down, we couldn't shut down. I couldn't shut down on myself and my mother. So that was really important for that period. You have something?
No, I just want to let everybody know that the shutdown affected every single person in the world, not just in the United States, all across the country, not just young and old, every single person. People had vacations to go on. People had jobs to do. People had, I had a plane ticket April the 1st to go see my dad. So as soon as they said Florida is shut down, null and void, I couldn't go. And, I really wanted to see him. I hadn't seen him in almost a year. So I just want everybody to know that's on this Zoom call that we know what everybody has gone through. And that's what we just want to hear a couple of people later on in the show about, you know, their little situations they had.
Now, Wes, when you shut down because you didn't think you were not essential. No, you were essential per the government. You didn't know that. Now, at being an athlete and loving massages, you were always essential to me. So I'm glad that you realized that you are essential. But when you found that out, how did you deal with telling your employees that this is it for now? We don't know when we're going to have you back in the office.
That's a great question. And, you know, I have invested in leadership training over the past 3 years, and subconsciously my leadership kicked in without really, you know, having to activate it. So the very first thing in a situation like that, where I was shut down, but like you said, I wasn't shut down. I just had to pivot. So I had to pivot, and I had to channel my energy into a different direction. So the very first thing I had to do was I had to take care of me, right? When you're on an airplane and you're getting ready to take off, you know, and they say in the event of a crash, you know, the mask is going to drop down. They don't say put it on the other person. They say put it on yourself. Right. So in a situation like that, I had to make sure that my mental and physical and spiritual well-being was in peak condition. And then I could attend to my team, but not without taking care of myself first. And I just, you know, I just reached out to them daily and let them know, you know, I don't know exactly what's going on, but I promise you that I will put you on my back. I have you. I got you. You know, and we would jump on daily Zoom calls, and we would just encourage each other and keep in touch with each other, and unemployment was just non-existent. So I just had to take care of myself first, and then I could attend to my team.
And you know, that's so funny that you said that you had to put them on your shoulders. At Horizon Blue Cross and Blue Shield of New Jersey, they have a quote that says, yeah, they're here when you need them the most, now and always. So during the shutdown period, you had to be there for your staff. We had to be there for our families. But most importantly, when you're extraordinary, you have to be there for yourself in order to provide that balance. And it was very difficult because you didn't know how long you're going to be shut down for. But we didn't know that.
No.
We just knew it was shut down, and when we're going to open, no one knew that. So that was a really, really trying time. And that was really important for us to discuss the shutdown and how it affected us. But what we want to do right now, Wes, if you can, if anyone has a question, if you raise your hand or put it in the chat specifically about the shutdown, so Wes can help you talk to you about that instance as well. So if you have a question about the shutdown, or want to talk to him about that, and some of you might still be shut down mentally, emotionally, and spiritually after almost a year and a half now. We would love to be able to answer that question. Put your hand up here.
Roseanne Smith.
There's Roseanne Smith. If you unmute your mic, we can answer your question. If it's specifically about the shutdown.
That's Abdullah. She didn't.
Oh, it switched up on. Okay, she left. Okay. Okay, Wes, so go ahead. I thought we had a question, but we didn't.
No, just
so we're gonna keep moving forward with.
No, go ahead.
Okay, there's a question here. Unmute yourself, Gerald. You have a question? Yes.
My question was, what protocols were put into place when he started back during the pandemic?
That's another great question. When we were able to resume business in the massage world, I believe it was June 26th in Pennsylvania, the protocols were, which was very difficult to be person-to-person contact in close quarters. So masks were worn at all times. I allotted 15 minutes in between clients. 30 minutes in between clients for sanitation purposes. No two people were in the same area at the same time. except for client and therapist. So I just had to maneuver logistics of the scheduling. Everybody hand sanitized when they first came in. Everything was sanitized, tables, doorknobs, everything in between clients, and we were limited to the amount of people that we could see throughout the day.
Wow,
So,
that's really interesting. Thanks for sharing that. So what we're going to do, I think I have another question specifically about the shutdown. That's Bruce Berry. So could you answer? It's about the shutdown, so Wes can answer your question.
Wesley, once you were shut down, were you able to open back up on June 21st? I think you said, were you able to bring back your entire staff, or did you bring them back in increments, and 2 here, 2 this day, 2 that day, with the 8 people you had on staff?
Yeah. So we broke it up. So they were, I would have 2 people per day. We have 4 rooms, so we were running at 50% capacity. And I broke it up throughout the week so that the exposure to each other was limited.
Wow, the time really goes by fast. That first segment flew. So Wes, we're getting ready to go to our second segment, but we cannot go to our second segment without showing them this amazing video that we have about you. So everyone, please enjoy this video about Wes, because when we come back, we're going to talk about stress and anxiety, and he is definitely the person that's going to be able to transform you and help you navigate through that period. The stress and
I believe it or not, I once too was in your seats. And I wish that I would have learned or grasped something that someone was trying to tell me at the time that they were trying to tell me at. My decisions have been based on other people's opinions of me. And can you identify with that? Like my identity in high school and the experiences that I experienced, I allowed that to dictate who I thought I was and allowed those opinions to become my reality. What I'm saying is, it's over. And let me tell you something, you're going into the most critical time of your life. I always thought that what I did made me who I was. So I started waking up earlier. I start reading books. I start doing whatever it takes. I ride my bike 8 miles from my house to my business just to get there on time. It's game on. I had to push past those feelings. My why was greater than my how. And when your why is greater than your how, nothing can stand in your way. To say this happened in the past, this is where I'm going in the future, and this is right now. And live in the here and now. Be where your feet are. Take responsibility for your actions. And I invite you to do that. I could see how all my decisions throughout my entire life had led me right to where I was right there. And I started making good decisions. The way that you treat each other and your values and principles and belief system is what makes you the person that you are.
wow.
Man.
I know you all are clapping. I know you, because I'm inspired. I'm motivated. And look, Horizon Blue Cross and Blue Shield, they focus on communities, families, dental, mental, Medicare, Medicaid, and the mental health aspect. So if you want to find out more about that, visit them at horizonblue.com. And what Wes is getting ready to do now is take you to a whole nother level with stress and anxiety. So Wes, you want to bring us, that was really motivational. I mean, you are a phenomenal motivational speaker, and anyone that's struggling through anything right now, he says something that was so very important. He said, be where your feet are. So can you speak to that?
Yeah. So I was saying that, stress in its definition is a sub-emotion of fear. Right? It all stems from fear. Usually for me, it's self-centered fear. But stress is something that causes a tension or emotion that creates physical tension in your body due to a thought or an event, or that makes you feel frustrated. So on March 17th, the stress that I experienced was fear of not having enough. And so many times, a lot of my clients, they come into me, and as soon as I put my hands on them, I can feel whatever stress or tension that has consumed their body. And it's different for other people, but essentially it's any thought or event that makes us feel a negative emotion.
Right. So, Wes, we're going to talk about the pandemic and COVID-19. I know Tyrone has something he wants to add to the conversation regarding his stress and anxiety personally.
Okay. Once again, thanks everybody for being on this Zoom call. And like Joetta and Wes said, there's some things that we just cannot control. Right now, the world is divided. There's some people out there that just think they can do everything and anything. But right now, we're just trying to be safe, free, and, just go back to normal. So right now, my situation started in December. I made it through all of 2020, and I'm a first responder.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm retired, I was back into the field, with the Newark Police Department as a property and evidence clerk. So I was around people, I was, food drives. I was doing everything because that's what I do. So I made it all the way through 2020. Almost. December the 10th. Friday, I'm feeling bad. Saturday, I feel like I just can't breathe. Sunday morning, something hit me like a ton of bricks. Not knowing what I had or what I was going through. So I started writing stuff down for myself. These numbers right here was on my chart. And if you can see these numbers, my blood pressure was 149 over 105. My body temperature was 104. My heart rate was 110, and I wasn't doing anything. And then my oxygen levels were down to 90. So I got scared. So that next morning, I called my doctor on his cell phone, and I said, before I even started to talk, he said, meet me at Clara Mass. And I knew something was wrong because I'm that one that jumps rope, rides the bike. I do everything. And I get to the hospital, don't know how I made it there. And, by the grace of God, I was able to, get a bed. And once I got, isolated in my room and they started to do all of these tests, they did a new COVID test. 2 hours later said I didn't have COVID. I said, well, what's going on? An hour after that, they came back and said, not only did I have COVID, I had COVID pneumonia. Now I'm 55 at the time and I'm going, what? I had this, Joetta knows, I had this little thing going on in my head. My mom made it to 55 and I wanted to make it to 55. So for 20 years, I've been eating right and doing everything right. So once he said COVID pneumonia, I'm thinking like, is this gonna take me out? He said, I had to put this oxygen on you. Now imagine the doctor going, putting oxygen on you. That's the start, 100% to get me to start breathing because my chest was on fire and I couldn't breathe. Now the next thing he goes, I'm gonna give you a steroid. From the steroid, I'm gonna give you remdesivir. From the remdesivir, I'm gonna go in your stomach and I'm gonna give you Eliquis. From the Eliquis, I'm gonna give you this. I had 6 or 7 things hooked up to me or going inside my body at one time.
Wow.
Now, I don't know how many of you personally went through either pneumonia or a bad flu or anything. It was the worst thing that I've ever felt. My body was on fire.
You know what? This is a show. I'm gonna stop you real fast. That's a good point. If you don't mind, if you want to share with us that you had COVID or went through that, that would be something. You could raise your hand if you feel like doing that. Horizon Blue Cross and Blue Shield of New Jersey is a a company, and they are really concerned with COVID, with physical and mental health. So let's just see. I'm not going to call on you, but I just want to get a range and see how many people. So it looks about, from what I'm looking at, maybe about 10 to 12 people have had COVID or some form of the virus. And the good thing about it is that you're raising your hand. That means that you made it. So many people did not make it, but that means you made it. So Tyrone's going to finish with his story, and then we're going to have Wes address all of that stress and anxiety, because right now he's in the hospital talking about his situation in the hospital for 10 days or so, going through everything. And as he said, he didn't know if he was going to make it out alive or not because of the situation.
So let me go back and just say all those people that lost a loved one, the ones that are not here, I've been around people that I saw one day and the next day they were gone. So I just want to say a good prayer, you know, for them. So as I stated before, now I'm in the hospital, all of these numbers are, you know, through the roof and my body's on fire. But this is the hardest thing. When your body's so hot and you have so much inflammation and stress and all of this stuff in your body, the first thing that you can't do is you can't sleep. So I went in at 8 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock at night, I'm fighting to go to sleep, but imagine your heart beating like you're playing basketball. I'm trying to sleep and my heart. What I did was I just laid back, crossed my arms like this, and I would be able to get 5 minutes of sleep every 2 or 3 hours. So what I wind up doing out of all that is I made another chart for myself. I said, okay, T, you did this for 25 years, which was fighting fires. You fought fires for 25 years. You rescued people, you put the fire out, you did everything you could. Now guess what you gotta do? You gotta turn around and go inside your own self to put the fire out. So every single day, when they said I had to do whatever, that tube, blow into it, and the first breath was the hardest. I blew into it. You gotta walk, I got up and walked. You gotta eat, I didn't eat for 2 days. So when they said you gotta eat, I just would do what I had to do, and because I had to do it. Joetta says it all the time, you gotta do it. You have to do it. Nobody's around me, none of my family, no friends, nobody. My phone is dead. They have it at the front desk. I'm like, T, you got to get through this because you have a story to tell after this is over.
So I think that talks to the point of, you know, when you're under stress and you have anxiety, you always have to remain focused. And FOCUS is an acronym which stands for follow one course until successful. He couldn't think about leaving. He had to walk. He had to do things to get out of the hospital. So Wes, could you speak to that point? He's in the hospital trying to get out of the hospital before Christmas, and yes, he can barely walk, barely breathe, but he followed one course until he was successful. And he's sitting here in studio today. So Wes, could you speak to stress and anxiety from that perspective? You're muted.
Sorry about that. Wow. Just, you know, and Tyrone, you know, I've met you about 2 times now, and I was always like, man, that guy is just like the strongest guy I've ever met, you know, physically, mentally, you know, just you're Superman to me. And,
thank you,
you know, but, you know, so to hear that story, and I got to be transparent and apologize because in the beginning, I did not take COVID-19 as serious as I should have. Probably because I didn't know enough. And it wasn't until hearing my friends' stories and stories like yours that like, this is real. You know, this is real, and it affects the people that we love the most. You know, so thank you. And stress, you know, stress is the body's defense mechanism towards danger. So stress can be a good thing, right? We have a 2 million-year-old brain, and it is designed to keep us alive, right? So even though, you know, we're not fighting off saber-toothed tigers anymore, we still need that same mechanism in our brain to let us know when we're in danger. Now, when you're going through life and you're day to day and things overwhelm you and you're like, oh no, I'm stressed out. It's because you don't think you have a lot of time and you feel as though you're not going to complete or reach whatever goal it is that you think you are. Now that's day to day. And usually, you know, it's not real. But when you're in a hospital and you're fighting for your life, that's real stress. And that's when you need that motivation and you need your brain and your body to operate together so that you can accomplish staying alive. Yeah, that's amazing.
And I think that with the COVID situation and everything that comes with it, from health to finances to family to kids to food to not knowing, so many people had jobs one day, didn't have a job the next week, income changed. But I think what I did was I tapped into my why. I tapped into my why. And when you tap into your why, it's like you have the wisdom. You have to give that hallelujah praise, and you have to understand that you can achieve everything. So that's what that why is about. So what I did was I'm like, praise God that I'm here. I'm thankful for my friends and my family. I'm thankful for my lights and my bills being paid. But guess what? By the grace of God go I. Someone lost a parent. Someone lost a loved one. Yep. Someone's lights are not on. Someone can't pay their bills. So that is another level of anxiety. And with anxiety comes you break, your body changes, your hair falls out, your skin gets different acne and bumps on it. All of these things happen. And even as an Olympic athlete, we talk about stress and dealing with meditation. And what I did a 28-day self-introspection because I was by myself a lot. And I had to realize something is going on with me. I'm by myself. I'm not speaking. I'm not traveling. Family is not with me. So I did this introspection of me. And when you're dealing with anxiety and stress, take a step back, do some journaling, find out what it is that you're stressed out about, and go through the steps of, yes, I'm stressed. That's the reality of it. But the reality of it is you can work your way through it, one step at a time. So we talk about steps and time. This segment has run out of time, but I want to see if anyone has a question. Could you please raise your hand and go to the chat? Remember, we talked about the shutdown. Then we talked about stress and anxiety. And Tyrone talks about his amazing recovery, and you're probably still recovering.
Yes, to this day, I'm still recovering. I took my first shot a month ago. The next one is in 2 days. And right now, I'm almost good. But it's been a long haul from December to now.
So right now, if you have a question, we want to help you through it. I see a hand being raised here.
No, that's Lorraine Crawford.
Oh, Lorraine Crawford, you have a question? Unmute your mic. And we're talking about stress and anxiety. You have to unmute your mic.
Touch the screen and then go to the left.
Okay, she didn't unmute your mic. Someone else? Any more questions? She's talking and her mic is muted, so we can't hear you. Okay, we're going to move on. Her mic.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, yeah, now.
Okay,
we're talking about stress and anxiety, and you were just talking, and we couldn't hear you. So could you?
Yeah, it wasn't letting me unmute. I apologize.
Okay.
My question was for my question was about Mr. Morris gave the definition of stress, but I felt a little foggy in terms of the difference with anxiety, because I know people use the two words interchangeably. And I was just wondering if he could give us a little example of anxiety, because he was really good with stress.
Thank you.
You know, I believe that, and I don't know that I have the difference between stress and anxiety, other than what your nervous system does. You know, I would believe that stress is your, you know, fear
Yes.
is a response in your brain
Yeah.
to something that's happening. Stress is the stress and anxiety are like cousins, and you feel both of them. And what happens is your body releases adrenaline and cortisol in your body because you know, it tells your body that, okay, there's danger coming, so we have to react. So I'm going to pump your muscles full with cortisol so that we can respond quickly, because we may need to get out of here, and I need your muscles to function right now. So I know that's not, you know, the PhD definition of it, but that's my definition between stress and anxiety.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Well, that was the second phase. It went through really fast. But if you want to hear more information or talk to someone about stress and anxiety, please visit horizonblue.com. They have people on there that you can talk to. You can go ask questions. And again, they focus on the community, families, mental health, physical health, and they would love to be able to help you through this pandemic. At Be Extraordinary, we're not just talking about situations, we're talking about solutions. So we have a solution for you right now, and it's the third part, which is resolutions. So we're talking about shutdown, and we're talking about stress and anxiety. Now we have to have a resolution. How do we resolve all of this? For me, I started my resolution with COVID-19, specifically getting my shots. I was adamant. I was, you know, we laugh now because right now you can walk into CVS or walk into a grocery store
And be close to each other.
and be close to each other, and then also get your shot. When I was trying to get on there was a waiting list. I was trying to get there up at night, 1:30,
And who helped you out?
yeah, trying to log in and trying to find this spot, that spot, get on the list. So by the grace of God, things are changing, but we still have to be aware. Yes, get the first shot, get your second shot. You know, I still have to wear my mask when I'm out around people on planes and things like that. So we're talking about resolution. My resolution for COVID was two things. One, get my shots, increase my vitamin D, and then also continue to exercise and get some rest. You're stressing out all the time and not getting sleep. Sleep is real important. How many hours should we get roughly?
Sleep, and like my sister Sheila I see on the screen, she's a nurse in Florida, and she says that adequate sleep is between 7 and 9 hours. So what I used to do was, especially in the firehouse, or take a 2-hour nap, and then by the time I went to bed at 10, 11 o'clock, I'm back up at 2 or 3. So that wasn't working for me. So now I don't even nap. I just try to get a good night's sleep.
So well, I don't know how many of you are getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. I sure don't. I take a power nap and I pray that I can get 20 good minutes then, but it's important to get your rest. So resolution, do you have any resolutions for us with the pandemic, Wes?
Yeah, you know, I was just thinking to myself, not everything about the pandemic was bad. When we first shut down, you know, it took me a couple of weeks. I was eating excessively. I was stressed out and all these things, and I gained weight, and I was filled with fear. And then something happened one day where I made a mental shift, and I changed my focus to what I couldn't do and changed my focus to what I could do. And I completely renovated my entire space in the 3 months that we were down. So, you know, we got shut down on March, and when we opened in June, I had a completely new business because I had to put my energy somewhere, and what you focus on expands. So I had to just, you know, I could stay stuck on the problem, or I could change my focus to the solution. And that's what I did.
Yes.
I have some hands up. You know, Wes, this would be a good time for us to do some interaction. So we're going to have Abdul Hassan. His hand is raised. If we can unmute him. And if you have that question, Abdul Hassan, regarding resolution.
Good evening. How are you? Can you hear me?
Well, thank you. Yes, we
Yes.
can. Thank you.
Hey, Hassan.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Enjoying your show, enjoying the motivation, you know, stress, anxiety, all of that. Okay, I'm a educator, and you know, we never went to school for teaching remote.
Oh, yes.
So the resolution is, okay. So I'm gonna throw something back at everybody. Okay, that was me typing in the chat like, fight or flight.
Right.
That's what that anxiety kicks in. You have a choice. You fight
Right.
or you get in the wind. It's called flight. How do I know? Because I suffered from anxiety, the real deal. Not no pandemic, way before the pandemic. So you fight or you flight. You don't have a choice. And that's what happened to you, my great motivational speaker. Other thing kicked in that's in you, and it said, listen, you're not no, you know, you're not no fighter. You're not gonna run. You're gonna fight, and then you're gonna go ahead and get back to what you do. You're
Yes.
gonna handle yours. The resolutions here, and I've enjoyed everything that's been going on here because the stress part of it was on everybody.
Yes.
In the classroom, what do you think we had to do?
Yeah.
We had to flip gears. We never stopped. You know, so we had to get children, you know, reacclimated, and thank God that we had something called Google Classroom that we were working with, but the whole world changed in education overnight, and I had children working with phones and all of that. They and see when you're growing up a little bit and poor. So as far as a resolution, I just wanted to share this with you. When the child, before they got laptops and we could get them laptops, and they were working on their cell phones trying to connect and stay in touch with us, you know what we told them? Well, listen, in your notebook, that summary that we gave you to write, we're gonna flip gears, bro. Just take a picture of that summary and send it to my phone, and I'll print it out and edit it for you and tell you what time it is. And then we went from there to Google Docs also, and a whole lot of other stuff. And of course, you know where we are now. They're trying to put everybody back in. So everybody keep moving.
Well,
That's
I
what they're
appreciate
saying.
that. Yeah, I appreciate the keep moving, and I appreciate the.
I appreciate your show. I appreciate your show.
Okay, thank you very much for the information, and most importantly,
It's fight or flight.
you're gonna fight or flight, and in this case, we're gonna fight, but we gotta have a flight right now because we're at the fourth and final section. It's going by really fast. We did shutdown, stress, and anxiety. We did resolutions, and now we're at the solution part. You know, how do you deal with the stress and anxiety? What are the other ways to deal with stress and anxiety? And I cannot say it enough that horizonblue.com has a wealth of information there. So if you're struggling through anything, be it Medicare, Medicaid, stress, mental health, please go visit the website to speak to someone to help navigate through this very, very serious situation, but it does have solutions. So Wes?
Yeah, you know, how I personally deal with stress, and, you know, there are healthy ways to deal with stress and there are unhealthy ways to deal with stress. And for many years of my life, I chose unhealthy ways. And about, you know, 10 years ago, I made a decision that I was going to seek healthy ways to deal and cope with stress. So exercise, and you know, honestly, one of my favorite ways to deal with stress and anxiety is coloring. It's a form of meditation, and it allows me to be 100% in the moment while coloring. And then I'm not really worried about anything else. And then just one more thing that I started doing this winter that I don't know if you can really see it, but I started cold water therapy, where now I don't necessarily recommend this to everyone, but for me, I like to submerge myself in 36-degree water. And when I first do it, the stress that it puts my brain and my body through is amazing, because my heart rate elevates, my breath becomes choppy, and in that moment, my brain is telling me, get out of here. And it's important for me to calm my breathing, calm my heart rate, stay in the moment, and realize that everything is okay.
Yes.
And in that moment, when I'm in that cold water for 3 minutes, no longer than 3 minutes, nothing else matters. Not the job, not the problems, not everything that's weighing me down. I am 100% in the moment. And then when I go into life, it's a controlled, stressful environment. So my brain adapts to being in stressful environments. So when it feels like my whole world is falling apart, my brain isn't, because I have continually put myself in a controlled, stressful environment.
Okay.
Wow.
I just want to hear from one or two people that I see that I know they have something good to say. Leslie Clark.
Yeah. Leslie Clark, you want to unmute your mic? And
Yes.
we're talking about different solutions right now. So thank you for joining. Oh, she's still muted. We have to unmute you. So wait 1 second. We're going to get to you. And then while we get to her to get unmuted, we have to do that because we had to monitor people that were trying to come in. So we're going to unmute you. It's just take us 1 second to do that, but give us a second and we're going to get back to you, Leslie, for the to unmute you. Thank you for being patient with that. But in the meantime, Tyrone, we talk about solutions, and we often say that you have a little phrase that you say what the pandemic did for people.
My thing was, those people that were good, it seemed like the pandemic made them better. Those people that were bad, it kind of made them worse, but at times. But the whole thing about the pandemic for me was to just people a reset. You gotta push that reset button. My reset button coming out of that hospital, I forgot to tell you, I dropped 20 pounds in 7 days. 20 pounds.
Wow.
So when the doctors came in there to ask, Leslie, while I'm talking, can you unmute yourself if you get a chance? Okay. So 20 pounds light in 7 days, and the doctor, the physical therapist, comes in the room and says to me, I'm gonna give you some exercises, and if you do these exercises, you can go home. So for me, being a track coach, being a firefighter, being all these things, man, it's a piece of cake. I get out the bed, start walking about 20 meters, 20 yards. My legs feel like I'm about to pass out. So I said, oh my God, hopefully when I get back to my room, it won't be as hard. I walk all the way back to the room. He looks at me and said, march in place. I said, why is he messing with my legs? I'm marching in place. Like, stop. All right, stop. I said, I'm good. Do some squats. Everything with the legs. Okay, hold the bed and get on your toes and do some. I don't even have any more calves. I said, oh my God. So I wind up passing. So that was my resolution. I had to, 2 days before Christmas, I'm getting out this hospital. So Miss Hadley, would you give me something to make
Absolutely. First of all, let me congratulate the three of you. Excellent. I was really being quiet because I was being motivated. But nevertheless, I'm just going to tap this in real quick. Thank you, Tyrone and Joetta and Westley. A great job. I would say in dealing with solution, you have to not focus on the problem, but you must focus on the solution. I'm going to tap in real quick because we're talking about COVID as well. And I just want to give a little history. Back at that time when COVID started, and at that time was working for an airline, and I am a crisis coordinator. So I operate in these type situations in service recovery. I was returning from a major surgery, had just put my foot in the door, where I got the call that there is a major shutdown. There was an ordinance from the governor. This is coming from the President of the United States. Wow. Every flight is ground stopped. We had on the tarmac at that time about 30 flights flying into Italy, into Paris, into Europe, where it was very prevalent at that time. Here I am, not with my 100% physical ability, needing to go out now and face mass customers all over the airport where they were being pulled off planes. Everything was going on. Everybody pulling me back because they knew at that time I had just come back from a sickness or illness or what have you. So at that time, I was either going to choose, which you always have a choice, and that's what brings you to your solution, to go under the water or to be above the water. And I knew at that time that there was a crisis that I could not control the outcome of, but where I was, I controlled where I was going to be in the midst of that situation. So I'm going to say that to anybody and everybody. I understand there is stress. I understand there's anxiety, but there are avenues, there are ways that you can work yourself through it, get through it. It may not be what you're accustomed to or what you're used to. This is where Joetta's Extraordinary comes in. You've got to do something that you've never done before to get out of a situation that you've never been in before. That will always bring you to a solution. Thank you. Phenomenal podcast, phenomenal Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, that was awesome. So, this time has gone by so very fast. I mean, when we started the show, we had our 4 points. We kind of went through our 4 points. We tried to bring everybody in some way via the chat or by raising a hand. But I think what we learned today is that even though we've made the turn, and I always say, the bend in the road is not the end of the road. You have to keep turning. So we're at a point now where we have to continue to turn through the pandemic, to turn into our new situations, into our new life, into our new health, into our new finances. We have to keep turning, because if you don't turn, you're going to go off that cliff, and we don't want anyone to do that. So Wes, the time has gone by so fast. I just want to thank you. And do you have any parting words that you want to say to the audience? You must tell them how to reach you. Give them your phone number, your email address. If you want a motivational speaker, if you want someone to empower you, if you want a great massage, or to talk to someone about stress and anxiety, please, Wes, give them a way to contact you.
Yes, and my closing thought is that I've been in places in my life where it felt as though the world was coming down around me. And the one thing that I know is that you don't have to do it alone. No. You never, ever have to go through something alone, only if you choose to. So my number is 610-554-5533. And you can call me anytime.
Thank you. Yes, something.
And for me, because they put me on so many medications, at the end of my sheet, after I put Remdesivir, everything like that, I put a check mark at the bottom. I said, God is the only pill that I need today. Wow. And I put a date. That date was 30 days after I got out the hospital. So when I went back to the cardiologist, the first thing he said to me was, oh yeah, blood pressure, your heart rate is fine. You still on those meds? I said, I haven't been on meds for 30 days. Yeah. So he looked at me and shook his head. So right now, I'm on this right here, clean water.
Me too.
Well, me too. Anybody else have the water?
I got my water.
Well, I think that Horizon Blue Cross and Blue Shield of New Jersey is sponsoring all 4 of our episodes. So this first episode, we talked about real stress, real solutions. Our next episode will be with
Deirdre Van Sheer.
Deirdre Bashir. And
that next episode is going to be on Wednesday, May the 12th, 2021, 5:30 p.m. And it's going to...
No, we're not going to do that. Okay, we put a slide up there, but we weren't ready for that. But we're going to come back to the closing remarks. But if you look at that while it's up there, it's about being extraordinary still, sponsored by Horizon Blue Cross and Blue Shield. We're going to talk about the COVID solutions for children and families. And so that's basically what she's going to talk about. And Deirdre, her credentials are?
So Deirdre is Vice President of Head Start, Early Head Start, and Preschool Services, Community Services for Children Incorporated.
So we're talking about families and kids next week. In closing, I just want to say on behalf of Horizon Blue Cross and Blue Shield of New Jersey, my co-host Tyrone Johnson, it was a pleasure and privilege to be in studio to talk to all of you about the pandemic. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Please visit the websites, and you can also visit us at, email us at jotyme@gmail.com. That's Jotyme, Tyme fitness@gmail.com. And I like to say this to every one of you. It doesn't matter what road you take, but what matters is what you become along the journey. So thank you for taking this journey with us this evening. And as you journey through the rest of your life, make sure you stay focused. Follow one course until successful, and pivot through the pandemic. And remember to be blessed, continue to be prayed up, and we're going to get through this together. Thank everyone for attending this Zoom this evening, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone. Much love.